A vast, barren land stretches endlessly under a burning, toxic sky. The desert is not made of sand alone. It is littered with the remains of human civilization. Plastic bottles glisten under the scorching sun like cursed jewels. Crushed cans, broken wrappers, rotting fruits, and torn bags lie scattered, as if nature itself has been suffocated by mankind's careless hands. The air is heavy, carrying the stench of decay, buzzing with insects that feast upon the waste. The silence of this place is deafening. There are no birds, no animals, no trees, only a wasteland of garbage and silence, a graveyard built not for humans, but by them. And in the middle of this desolation, she appears, a lone woman, her body smeared with mud, her clothes torn and soaked in filth. She does not belong here, yet she is part of it. Her skin is streaked with dirt, her hair tangled with dried leaves, as though the earth itself has claimed her. She stumbles forward, collapsing into the trash-strewn ground. Every breath she takes is heavy-labored, as if even the air has turned poisonous. Behind her lies a torn sack spilling open, vomiting bottles, cans, and rotten food into the sand. It is as if she carries the entire burden of humanity's waste upon her shoulders. And then it happens. A shadow falls over her. From above, a hand appears, gripping a rusted bucket. Without hesitation, the bucket tips, and garbage rains down upon her. Wet leaves, rotten fruit, scraps of plastic, and filth cascade across her body. The sound is sharp, brutal, echoing in the emptiness like thunder. She does not resist. She cannot. Her body slumps as the trash buries her legs, as though the earth itself has decided to swallow her whole. But even as she falls, there is something unbroken in her gaze. Her eyes, wide and piercing, cut through the haze of dust and heat. They are not just the eyes of a woman struggling in garbage. They are the eyes of humanity, trapped in its own destruction. Each piece of trash on her skin is a reminder of greed, negligence, and blind consumption. The desert is not natural. It is man-made. She is not suffering alone. She is carrying the weight of us all. The buzzing of flies grows louder, circling above her like vultures waiting for death. The horizon burns with a sickly green light, the sun hidden behind polluted clouds. Time seems frozen, as if the world itself has stopped, holding its breath to witness her suffering. This is not a desert of nature. This is a desert of waste, a land where every grain of sand has been replaced by a fragment of garbage, a world where humanity has poisoned its own soil and left nothing but ruins. And in this wasteland, this woman becomes more than just a figure in dirt. She becomes the symbol of our collective fate. The scene is haunting, surreal, and terrifyingly real. It is the beginning of a story not about her alone, but about all of us. This wasteland is not the future. It is the present, unfolding silently while we look away. The woman lies in the dirt, half covered in trash. Yet her story is not hers alone. It is the story of all humanity. Every plastic bottle beside her, every torn wrapper, every rotting fruit carries a history. Each piece of waste is a memory of careless hands, discarded moments, and choices made without thought. This desert is not accidental. It is not a natural disaster. It is the deliberate creation of billions of small acts. Every bottle thrown away, every plastic bag forgotten, every careless decision that seemed too small to matter. Together, they have built this empire of garbage. As the hand above her tips another bucket, more trash rains down. It is relentless, unstoppable, like the greed that feeds it. The falling waste is not just physical, it is symbolic. Every object carries a weight. A plastic bottle is not just plastic, it is centuries of pollution. A crushed can is not just aluminum, it is the cost of industrial greed. A rotten banana peel is not just food, it is hunger wasted while millions starve elsewhere. All of it falls upon her. burying her under the sins of humanity. Her face twists in pain, but her eyes remain open. She sees what others refuse to see: the collapse of humanity hidden in plain sight. Cities rise on one side of the world, glowing with neon lights and endless consumption, while somewhere else, deserts like this are born, silent, ignored, deadly. We celebrate progress, yet progress has a hidden price. It does not vanish. It piles up, layer upon layer, until it covers us whole. The desert around her becomes a metaphor for the collapse. Once fertile land, now lifeless, stripped of its dignity. Where there could have been trees, there are only plastic bags fluttering like torn flags of surrender. Where rivers could have flowed, there are dried trenches filled with glass shards and broken bottles. The earth has been hollowed, emptied of its richness, replaced by fragments of our arrogance. And the woman, trapped within it all, becomes humanity itself. She is us, suffocating in our own negligence, drowning in our own consumption. Every time another object falls upon her, it is as if another century of human ignorance is added to the pile. She gasps for breath, struggling beneath the crushing weight, but the garbage never stops. The buzzing insects grow louder, almost mocking. They are the inheritors of this world, thriving in decay where humans cannot. They swarm around her body as if already preparing to consume what remains. Far above, the sky shifts. Clouds of toxic green and black roll in, covering the sun completely. Darkness falls, not because night has come, but because pollution itself has swallowed the light. In this moment, the fall of humanity is no longer a future possibility. It is happening now, in silence, without warning, without mercy. And yet, despite the suffocating filth, despite the crushing weight, the woman's eyes burn brighter. Her gaze pierces the desert as if screaming a warning to anyone who dares to look. She is not merely a victim of trash. She is a messenger. Her suffering is a prophecy carved in mud and waste. This is the cost of neglect. This is the fall of humanity. The weight of the garbage presses down on her like 1,000 invisible hands. Every new layer of waste buries her deeper, cutting away her strength piece by piece. The desert is silent except for the buzzing of flies and the rustle of plastic in the wind, yet her shallow breaths break that silence. Each inhale feels poisoned, each exhale weaker than the last. She tries to rise, but the filth clings to her body like chains, pulling her back into the dirt. Her skin, smeared with mud and streaked with sweat, glistens under the sickly light of the toxic sky. The air burns her throat. Dust and rotting fumes fill her lungs, making every breath feel like swallowing fire. Her hands tremble as she pushes against the ground, trying to lift herself, but the garbage slides back over her arms, wrapping them in suffocating layers. It is as if the desert itself wants her to remain buried, as if escape is forbidden. Her body tells a story of pain, but her eyes tell something deeper. There is suffering, yes, raw, undeniable, but there is also defiance. The pain does not crush her completely. Instead, it sharpens her gaze. She becomes both victim and warrior in the same breath. The struggle is not only physical, it is spiritual. The trash represents not just the destruction of her environment, but the destruction of her dignity, her humanity. And yet she refuses to close her eyes. The insects crawl across her skin, biting, stinging, feeding on sweat and wounds. Their sound is maddening, a constant reminder of decay. Each sting makes her flinch, but she does not scream. Silence is her rebellion. If she screams, the desert wins. If she collapses, the waste consumes her. So she endures, trembling, shivering, her chest rising and falling in uneven rhythm, like a flame fighting the wind. The sun above offers no mercy. Its light is filtered through clouds of pollution, casting an eerie green glow across the landscape. Shadows twist across her face, accentuating every line of exhaustion. She looks less like a human being and more like a living statue, an artwork sculpted by suffering. The desert paints her with dirt, the garbage crowns her in decay, and still she remains, unbroken. But every moment is heavier than the last. The garbage grows colder against her skin, its weight unbearable. She feels her heartbeat slowing, each pulse weaker, her vision narrowing to fragments of light and shadow. For a brief moment, she closes her eyes, and in that darkness, she imagines another world. A world where the air is clean, where rivers flow, where trees stand tall, where she is free. But when she opens them again, the reality crashes back. The desert, the filth, the endless struggle. Her pain is more than physical. It is the pain of being forgotten, the pain of carrying the burden of all humanity alone. She is not just one person. She is the embodiment of a species that created its own prison. Every piece of garbage around her whispers the same truth. This is not just her suffering. This is our suffering. And so she endures, broken, trembling, suffocating, but not yet defeated. The garbage clings to her body like armor, heavy and suffocating. Yet in that weight something begins to shift. What was once her prison starts to look like her battlefield. She no longer lies as a victim waiting for release. She rises slowly, painfully, but with purpose. Her trembling hands push against the dirt, lifting her chest from the ground. Trash slides off her shoulders, scattering across the desert floor. The chains that once bound her now fall like broken relics. Her breath is ragged, yet it grows louder, more deliberate. Each inhale becomes a declaration of survival. Each exhale defies the suffocating silence of the wasteland. Flies still swarm around her. The heat still scorches her skin. The stench of rot still burns her lungs. But her spirit begins to shine brighter than the misery that surrounds her. Her eyes, bloodshot and glistening with tears, pierce the horizon. They are not eyes of despair anymore. They are eyes of rebellion. They carry within them centuries of struggle, the pain of countless generations who fought to live, to endure, to overcome. In her gaze, the desert itself seems to tremble. It is no longer the garbage consuming her. It is she who now consumes the meaning of that garbage, transforming it into a symbol of strength. The desert wind shifts, lifting strands of her tangled hair, carrying with it the scent of decay mixed with the fire of resistance. She grips a broken metal can, not as trash, but as a weapon, sharp, jagged, a fragment of destruction reborn as a tool of survival. The same waste that tried to bury her now becomes her resource, her shield, her proof that, even in ruin, strength can rise. Her body, though covered in mud and filth, radiates a strange beauty, the beauty of defiance. She is not polished, not perfect, not untouched. She is raw, scarred, and real. The garbage that stains her skin becomes a crown of resilience. Each bruise, each scratch is not weakness, but evidence of her endurance. She stands not in spite of the pain, but because of it. In this moment, she ceases to be just a woman in a wasteland. She becomes a symbol. To the unseen world beyond the horizon, to the people who have turned away from the truth, she becomes a messenger. Strength is not found in comfort, but in surviving the unbearable. The desert watches. The flies pause. The silence deepens. Even the toxic sky seems to bend its light around her figure, as if recognizing the power that now radiates from her. She does not shout. She does not scream. Yet her presence alone speaks louder than words. Humanity may fall, but it will also rise. Her pain is still there, etched into her body, but it no longer defines her. What defines her now is the unbreakable will to stand, to endure, to remind the world that within the filth of destruction lies the seed of resistance. She is not only fighting for herself, she is fighting for what humanity could still be. And as she straightens her back, her shadow stretches long across the garbage, larger than the wasteland itself. She is no longer buried by the desert of waste. She is the strength standing within it, unyielding, unbroken, unforgettable. The wasteland falls silent once more. The storm of buzzing insects fades into the background. The rustle of plastic grows faint, and the toxic winds carry only whispers. The woman stands amid the ruins of humanity's waste, her body scarred, her spirit burning. She is no longer just a figure in dirt. She is the embodiment of resilience, the final reflection of what humanity has become and what it could still rise to be. Her gaze drifts across the endless desert of garbage. Bottles glisten like bones under the sun, cans shimmer like broken mirrors, and torn wrappers flutter like ghostly flags. Every piece of waste tells a story of a world that once thrived but fell to its own greed. She sees not just objects, but memories. Children drinking from plastic cups, families throwing leftovers away, factories churning out endless products with no thought of tomorrow. Each memory stings like a wound, a reminder of choices too small to notice, yet too powerful to escape. And then, in her silence, comes the realization: this wasteland is not a prophecy. It is not a warning of the future. It is the truth of now. Humanity has already begun drowning in its own waste, already choking the soil, the rivers, the air. The desert she stands upon is not a metaphor. It is a mirror, a reflection of the world as it truly is. She kneels for a moment, pressing her hand into the dirt. The soil beneath is dry, lifeless, stripped of its power to nurture. When she lifts her palm, nothing clings to it. No fertility, no hope, only dust. And yet, in her eyes, there is no surrender. She understands now that strength is not just survival. It is the refusal to accept collapse as destiny. The camera of imagination draws closer to her face. Sweat drips down her brow, dirt clings to her cheeks, and her lips part in a breath that sounds almost like a vow. Though no words escape, her presence speaks. This is what we have created. This is what we must change. As the polluted sky darkens, her shadow stretches across the garbage like a monument. It is not a shadow of weakness, but of warning. She becomes the statue of humanity's sins and its potential redemption. Her suffering is eternal, but so is her strength. The desert around her does not end the story. It begins one. For in her silence, the world is forced to listen. In her stillness, the world is forced to see. She is not just buried in trash. She is carved into it, a living reminder that humanity cannot run from its reflection. The final image lingers. A lone woman, covered in filth, yet crowned in defiance, standing in a wasteland of garbage. She is fragile, yet unbreakable. She is suffocating, yet unyielding. She is both victim and messenger. And as her eyes meet the horizon, they ask a single question of us all. If this is what we have become, what will we choose to be next?